So hi everyone, it's Julia, and in today's video we are going to be discussing a brand new documentary that just released about Dan Schneider named Schneider's Slavery, Schneider's Slavery, and this was made by a private production company called Start 8, and their YouTube channel is called Lifewire, so I'm going to flash it on the screen, as well as link their documentary in the description and in the comments below. And if you'd like to watch it, it's only 34 minutes, and it basically recaps all the allegations against Dan Schneider and also brings forth some discussion about him. So I'm going to give my thoughts on it, and I'm going to let y'all know if I think it brings anything new to the table, and let's get into it. So first off, the documentary starts out with basically just exploring all the allegations against Dan Schneider. The presenter, whose name is Sam Evans, he basically goes through YouTube and kind of just watches different videos that have been made about Dan Schneider, reads different articles, and really kind of just recaps a lot of what we've heard about Dan Schneider. And so that's where I'm gonna just say that off right off the bat, is that this documentary, a lot of it is pretty much a recap of things we already knew about Dan Schneider. So if you don't really know much about Dan Schneider, if you just want like a nice recap, like if you're looking for a place to go for like a nice, succinct recap of everything that went on with Dan Schneider, this is a pretty good place to go. This is a pretty good video to watch. But yeah, that's basically what that is. But if you already know about it, it's gonna feel like a recap. But there are some new elements to it. Like for example, the presenter actually does an interview with a background artist that was on iCarly. So this is an eyewitness. So I will talk more about that in a bit. So like I said, a lot of this documentary feels like a recap, but that's not really to the fault of the Lifewire team. That's not really to their fault, because there's no one that's really willing to talk about Dan Schneider. I mean, the only people that have really come out and said anything was Nikolas, who was Nicole on Zoey 101 in the first 2 seasons, and then Jennette McCurdy, who was on iCarly. But even what Jennette said was not concretely Dan, but she heavily alluded to Dan, because she made a comment saying that if it weren't for me, you guys would be working at Yogurtland. So that's heavily alluding to Dan Schneider. That's what many people believe, that she's pretty much speaking about Dan. But other than that, we really haven't seen anything super concrete about Dan Schneider.
Hey Dan Schneider, I know you're watching my Vine. Do you like my Vine? Vine. Look what you've done to me.
And so again, I can't really fault them for not having anything super new to bring, because no one is willing to kind of step up to the plate and really talk. So I'm gonna get into the background artist that decided to speak with them. So the background artist that decided to speak to them is a background artist from iCarly. This person wanted to remain anonymous, and basically this person really wasn't willing to bring up any new information. Like, I don't even understand why this person did an interview, because anytime the presenter Sam asked any hard-hitting questions, this guy just like no comment, no comment, no comment. And so I'm gonna play a clip of some of that here.
Was he in any way seen to be creepy towards anyone on the set? You know, the cast, background artists, guests, even the crew?
Dan had a very good eye for television. He knew what he was doing, and that's probably why he was so successful in doing it. In regards to allegations, I don't wish to comment.
I don't wish to comment, but you told our production team, and I'll quote this, that you are happy to discuss in detail the issues at hand. Saying no comment kind of beats around the bush.
I'm giving my views. I find it's wrong for me to speak on behalf of others and their experiences.
And what do you mean by others? Are you talking about the cast or the crew?
No comment.
What really struck me about this encounter, though, was the fact that when the presenter asked him, so I guess we're not going to find out anything about Dan until he's dead, the background artist said yes.
No comment.
I guess the only time we're going to find out when these rumors are true is when Dan Schneider dies, right?
Correct.
And that really blows my mind, because it just makes me realize, think, how freaking powerful is Dan Schneider? Like, how powerful is this man that we're probably not going to find anything out about him until he dies? That's just insane to me, because I knew he was powerful. I mean, it's pretty much a given that he's powerful, but to that extent, it makes you wonder, like, if Dan Schneider goes down, who else is going to go down? how many people are going to have to testify if things actually were to go criminal? Like, and again, we don't have any concrete evidence. A lot of this stuff is hearsay and allegations. But the fact that this background artist could not really confirm or deny anything just makes it look more shady. So again, we are not trying to say outright that Dan Schneider is a P, just being sensitive because YouTube's algorithm's crazy about all these kinds of words. We can't confirm or deny it, but the fact that this guy was so reluctant to speak, even though he said that he was going to, be concrete and he was gonna go at length, and then he ended up not going at length at all in the interview, it just makes you wonder, how powerful is Dan Schneider? Another part of the documentary that I thought was super poignant was when Sam basically brought up the fact that back in 2007, Nickelodeon basically greenlit a show, 13 episodes, a whole season of a show, without seeing a script, without knowing the name of the show, without having any idea of what the show was about, but they cleared it, and it was because it was Dan. It was all because it was Dan Schneider. All because Dan was the one that wrote it, Dan was the one that produced it, Dan was the one that did this. They went with it. And basically Sam reiterates that Nickelodeon had such severe trust in Dan that they were going to just pass a show without even knowing what it was about. So I'm gonna play that clip right here.
D marvelled at an unusual situation. Nickelodeon had ordered 13 episodes of a show without knowing the title, cast, or even seeing a script for the pilot. At first, I thought I must have heard this wrong. 13 episodes of a concept, D wrote. How was it possible that a network could have already scheduled a season's worth of a show no one there seemed to know the first thing about? A Nickelodeon executive, D, wrote, simply shrugged and said, "It's Dan." This is telling me that Nickelodeon had severe confidence in Dan Schneider.
So again, this documentary was basically just a recap of everything that's going on with Dan Schneider. It's 34 minutes long, and I basically think that it really will not bring anything new unless you are not aware of who Dan is, or if, like I said, if you want a nice wrap up of everything, then I think it's worth a watch. But again, I think there was only so much information they could work with because people are so reluctant to talk. They even said that they reached out to a bunch of people on the cast and crew of various shows, and no one got back except that one guy, and he didn't even want to talk. So it just goes to show that the rabbit hole with this whole Dan Schneider situation goes deep, and who knows if we're ever going to discover anything. I believe that the truth will always come to light. If Dan is truly innocent of all these allegations, that's going to be made very true, and if not, then we are also going to see that eventually. But that's just my belief. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Dan Schneider and his creepiness and just a bunch of things that I noticed, and of course what everyone else notices. So I'm just going to give a bit of a recap myself and give my ideas and my 2 cents. So the first thing I want to touch on is the creepy foot fetish. We all know about the foot fetish. Basically, Dan Schneider has made numerous tweets throughout the years asking kids to send them their feet, tweeting about feet, and so I'm going to flash some of these tweets up here. There's also been many videos throughout his shows, or many scenes where he's had the actors showing their feet, doing weird things with their feet. One that I actually noticed in particular was on Drake and Josh, that this guy had a tattoo of a foot on his chest.
Dude, why do you have a tattoo of a foot on your chest?
Bruh. I feel like when people talk about the feet stuff, they talk about iCarly, they talk about Victoria's, but they don't really talk about Drake and Josh, and there's actually a lot of foot references in Drake and Josh. Another one that I'm remembering off the top of my head was in Really Big Shrimp, where Drake and Josh were sleeping on the blow-up mattress that Megan made, and basically Drake woke up with Josh's hairy foot in his face, and they kind of spoke about the foot for a little bit. Again, that could probably just be seen as humor, but it's just interesting how he continues to incorporate feet in everything, and it's just really creepy. And it's like, these are minors. It's like, why are you having them do all this weird stuff with their feet? They're minors, they're children. Like, if you have a foot fetish, Okay, like that's your thing, but why are you going to perpetuate, why are you going to put that on to kids? It's very inappropriate. Another topic I wanted to hit on real quick was about Ariana Grande, and basically Ariana Grande has really been at the center of, or the topic surrounding these allegations, because she a lot on Victoria. She was really, you know, made to be like this, this object in a way. And and there's a lot of weird videos about her, and it's just really inappropriate, and it's really kind of uncomfortable. I mean, if I were Ariana Grande, I would definitely feel really jaded by it now. I'd be like, that, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I was like 15, 16 years old. I was a kid. I was a little kid. I was a kid, and I had to do all this like weird stuff, and the outfits he put her in, the way he kind of dumbed her character down. And I noticed that's like a trope throughout media, that they'll have a character that's kind of dumb in the beginning, or just naive, but then they make them like super dumb by the end of the show. I even noticed this in Kenan and Kel. I'm just gonna speak about dance shows where I've noticed this, but in Kenan and Kel, for example, Kel was kind of like, he wasn't like super dumb, he was neurotic. You know, he was more neurotic and he was more worrisome. But then by the end of Kenan and Kel, he was a complete idiot. And he did the same thing with Ariana Grande. And so I just think it's interesting. He kind of put Ariana in this like childlike demeanor, like the way she spoke. I'll never forget when I heard Ariana's voice for the very first time. It was like some special they were doing. I was just watching it, and then I heard her voice, and I was like, that's her real voice? Like, it was crazy. So I just feel really bad. Like, all of it, like, this is all just so inappropriate, and it's just not right. I also want to play a clip of an encounter where Dan Schneider had his camera, and Liz Gillies seemed to be very protective of Ariana in that moment. It's been a video I've seen a lot over the years, but I just want to show, like, again, a lot of people think that Liz Gillies was being protective.
And the camera was...
That was amazing. That was one of the better things I've ever heard.
Hey!
So yeah, there's been a lot of craziness around her, and I just hope that if, and I'm saying if something happened, whether people on set, people on the crew, they'll have the ability to speak up and they'll feel bold enough to speak up. I also wanted to talk about Alexa Nikolas, and she basically went out, this was like a year or two ago, where she basically blasted the Zoey 101 cast and said they were mean to her, that Dan did nothing about it, that Dan made her very uncomfortable, and she's vocally expressed how she does not like Dan Schneider.
The lead character on the show, who was supposed to be my best friend on screen, didn't really want to be my best friend in real life. And she was a little bit just distant from me, and I wasn't expecting that, and it kind of made me feel certain ways, but I kept trying to reach out to her, and like I asked her to go and have like sleepovers with me or to go to the movies, and she didn't really want that, and it was kind of a bummer because then when we were filming we had to act as though we were best friends, and that was fine. Like, I was used to acting my whole life, so it wasn't like I couldn't pretend that that was the case, but it surely wasn't. Dan walks in, and Dan has not helped the entire time, and I don't feel comfortable going into details about what I've seen with Dan or like what Dan is, but he comes through and with a smirk on his face. And because he's known the entire time that it was leading to this. He could have prevented this. Like, he could have stepped in and been like, let's be friends here. We're on a kid's show. Like, let's be, like, even though we're kids, like, an adult should step in and be like, let's be friends. Like, how can we settle this? But no, that never happened. And so Dan comes in with, like, a smirk on his face, which he's always had with me. Not a nice guy. Comes in, he's like, what's going on? What happened, Alexa? Oh, no, sorry. He goes, what happened now with you, Alexa? As if it's my fault, like, immediately. And I finally started to blurt out, like, what happened. And, like, what happened when I went to the trailer, and what happened. And he was like, you have to go on set. You have to film this last scene. And, like, had no care. He's like, but I have something for you that will probably make you feel better. And I remember being like, what? Like, that's his response. Like, I'm throwing up here. Like, I'm sick to my stomach. This is awful. And his response, I need to get to set, and that, you know, he has something for me that's cool. And he just pulls.
So those were just a couple of instances of Dan's weirdness, his treatment towards his cast. A lot of things have just been completely upside down with this man. I really just wanted to touch on it a little bit. I actually am going to be making a Jennette McCurdy documentary because you guys voted that you wanted to see a Jennette McCurdy documentary the most, so I'm going to be touching on her first, and I think in that video is where I'm going to go a little deeper into Dan and her relationship with Dan, and just basically her relationship with the industry. So I thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you watched the documentary by LifeWire, let me know what you think of it in the comments, and I will talk to you guys soon. All right, peace.